My people voted, and they wanted a tutorial on how to draw Albert Einstein. Albert has famous formulas for everything. He figured out that there's a correlation between the speed at which something travels, its mass, and time. He also knew that matter can be turned into energy and vice versa. Well, I'm not as smart as Mr. Einstein, but I'm going to give you a formula that is so elegant in its simplicity. Just follow my frickin' steps, and I can teach you how to draw Albert Einstein. So let me ask you, how much energy do you have in your pencil? Go pick one up, and let's find out. Let's begin. Step 1. Make the long triangle shape. Step 2. Make the trapezoid shape at the bottom of the triangle. The top of the trapezoid reaches the midpoint of the triangle, and the bottom of the trapezoid shape is arced. Step 3. Add the nose shape. Step 4. Add the eye shape in the upper corners of the triangle. Step 5. Add the eyelid over the eye shape. Step 6 looks tricky, but it's really not. Notice the dark shadows above Einstein's eyes. Observe them and draw them in, but know that you do not have to be perfectly accurate. Step 7. Mr. Einstein has some serious baggage under his eyes. He must have felt that it doesn't matter. Sorry. Step 8. Add the smiley thingy that will be hidden by his famous mustache. Step 9. Add Einstein's chin. Step 10. Add Einstein's double chin. Step 11. Add the side of Einstein's head. Step 12. Add the top of Einstein's face. Step 13. Add some wrinkle lines. Note that you do not have to be perfectly accurate with these. Step 14. Say, oh this is what Justin Bieber would look like if he got electrocuted. But remember, they're still cute in electrocute. On a serious note, know that you do not have to be perfectly accurate with this. Hair moves all the time. Step 15. Yeah, I guess we should give Mr. Einstein some ears. For step 16, I'm going to teach you how to shade the eye region, and I am going to start out by erasing that triangle. Take a second to notice how dark this region is in the reference image compared to other parts of the face and the hair. Let's not even begin to talk about the hair because that's going to be our challenge for later. But right now we want to establish those darks. I'm using just a regular HB pencil. I'm doing a method called cross-hatching, and I'll put a link to a tutorial that I have. If you've never done this before, it'll be up in the right-hand corner. And all it is line next to line next to line. It takes practice, but after a while it will become easier for you. Really, you have no choice but to crosshatch because you're using a thin tip. Of course, you could use the side of the pencil. That'll make your lines a little bit thicker. But I'm trying to match the tone that I see in the reference image. I want to take a second to point out that there's a very deceptive shadow in between the eyes, and there's a ton of tones underneath the eye. And you really have to look at the reference image to see that, but there's a whole bunch of shades of gray. And really, you just want to vary the pressure on the pencil. Remember, you can always pick stuff up by using the eraser. Step 17, we're going to focus on the nose region, or the mid-face region. And this is a very deceptively difficult part, because you have a bunch of neutral tones. And there is variance to them. But we're talking about Einstein. Everything with shading is about relativity and, how dark something is, how light something is compared to another region. And you want to use the eye region. As you can see, I'm still working on it a little bit. You want to use the eye region to gauge how dark and how light this section of the face is. So make sure that you keep looking and really for those areas where there are wrinkles, I am just trying to vary the lines. I'm adding darker lines. I'm going to, later on, not yet, I'm going to pick some of the areas up with the eraser because each wrinkle creates a plane, and you really have to think about that. And it gets picked up by the light a little bit differently. You really, really have to look. That's what I want you to work on for right now. Try to match those tones. For step 18, we are going to work on the bottom of the nose and the mustache. And I'm really just doing some scribbling lines right in there where you can see dark, darker than the areas around. But it's going to be sparse, meaning that each line is going to be somewhat spread out so that you can see the white areas in between. And we're also going to go back a little bit later with the eraser to try to mimic the texture. But there's a really dark area underneath, and we want to try to match that because the lip is concealed. It seems that his upper lip protruded a little bit, and what we're going to do is we're going to blend the dark area into the mustache, and that's what you see me doing right now. And I'm using the eraser. The side on the right is a little bit lighter, and now I'm making sure that everything else around it is blended in. Step 19, we're going to slow it down a little bit, and I'm going to talk about tying different areas of the face together. And of course, you're seeing me draw the chin right now, so I'm going to describe that as well. Let's start out with the chin. It's one of the darker areas of the face. I said before that the eyes are the darkest. I would say that it's tied with the chin. You know that light usually comes from above, and that was definitely the case with this picture. It was above and to the right, but it creates some really strong shadows on the bottom of the chin. The bottom of the mustache, like I said in the previous step, is really, really dark, and it blends into that mouth shape, which we barely can see. One of the advantages of drawing in real life compared to from a photograph is you can see more of those subtle tones and you can match them. But Einstein's kind of dead, and I don't know if he'd want to really pose for me anyway, so we're going by the best photograph that we could find that's Creative Commons, and we have to work with this one. So as for blending the different areas of the face together, there are different parts of this image. Some of them have lighter tones, such as the mid-face, and some of them have darker tones, such as the area underneath the eyes and the chin. The eyes kind of sink in as somebody ages. I forgot to mention that before. The chin, it kind of gets bony, and it also droops. Our faces get thinner as we age, and we lose the musculature that we had, and gravity pulls it down. It's almost like a baseball glove, or when you get a new baseball glove, it has to be broken in. Think of skin in an elderly person as broken in, and a lot more flexible, movable, because it's been used. I'm making my skin more flexible right now by talking so much. And essentially, that's what happens. But just remember for this image, observe the darker lines, the variance in tones in the bottom of the face and the eyes. Blend it together. You've seen me use a paintbrush. You could use a Q-tip. I would advise against using your fingers because there's oil in your fingers. That's why I use the paintbrush. It gives me a nice, subtle, easy blend. And I also use a blending stump, which allows me to extend lines. But yeah, wouldn't use fingers because there's oils in the hand, and that will totally mess up your shading because you'll see splotches in it. But yeah, that's what I do. And now you see me using a darker pencil. I'm just putting in the darker sections. That's a 7B pencil. And what I'm going to do is tie together the mustache area. You see me add darker sections over on the left-hand side of the mustache. And there's a crease that's created because he's got that grin on his face, that crazy Einstein grin. And going back into the eyes, you're going to see me really rework the eyes. if you keep watching this video. And I like to make the last step that I do, tying everything together. For step 20, you're going to see me do the forehead section, and I noticed that there's a dark shadow that's going on over on the left-hand side, and I did some hatching there. And I'm using the blending stump because I want to widen those lines that I have, because there's a variance in tone. And you're going to see me go back, and you're going to see me add the dark crease, the darkest area of the crease, right in the middle of that division. And each one of these is a division. Yeah, so I go back with my pencil and I just re-added that. I'm adding the lines in the lower forehead. That's a really tricky area, by the way, and you really have to observe in those trickier areas. Using the paintbrush, it's a great way so that you can get that neutral base tone. It takes a while to break in a paintbrush. I get a lot of questions about the paintbrush that I use. And if you're listening, it's not going to work for you right away. You need to accumulate the graphite on your brush in order to create those neutral tones. But it's really helpful if you use the same paintbrush over and over again. Don't use, don't clean it. Just keep using it and have one brush set aside so that you can do that. But I'm trying to hint at those highlight areas. You're going to see me go back later. I kind of rushed through this, I want to admit to you, because I was really anxious about the hair. And just like my Justin Bieber portrait, most of the time that I spend on this is going to be the hair. I also wanted the top of the forehead to be not overshaded because it has to blend right into the hairline. Now here is your challenge, and this is an extreme challenge. You're working on white paper, and you're drawing somebody with white hair, and you're really going to have to be delicate with that shading. And what you're going to start to realize is, okay, I just can't leave this as a shape. I'm going to have to create some texture in here. But it's so easy to go too dark. But that's where the eraser comes in. The advice that I'm going to give you is to follow the flow of the hair, the pattern, the direction that it goes, and create lines that you're probably going to erase a bunch of different times, but that's okay. We want a history to build up in your tones that you have, and you're going to take away a lot of that, but follow the lines of the hair. Try to be delicate. Use that paintbrush if you have one. If you don't have one, use a Q-tip. That will be good for extending the lines. But if it looks sloppy, you know what? Einstein's hair was sloppy. Don't go overboard on the cropping, but know that you have to somewhat make a line around it because it's on white paper and because it's white hair. But it doesn't have to be perfectly cropped. Notice the area around the hairline and the roots of the hair. It's a little bit darker there, and you want to make that slight transition from faint gray to white. And like I said a whole bunch of times, very challenging, but this is a study, and we're trying to do something very difficult here. So look at it as a learning experience, but be willing to take on the challenge, especially if you've gotten this far. Now I'm putting on the finishing touches, and you're seeing me go over the face again, and I'm basically looking at the comparison of the face and the hair. I'm going to rework some of the hair. I'm going to rework some of the face. I like to start this step when I'm about 90% done with my drawing. And I'm looking at tones. I'm looking to match tones. Again, this is a lot better and a lot easier if you have somebody really sitting for you in life. It's more challenging that way because you'll see a lot more tones, but we're going by a 70-year-old photograph. Just do your best with this, and a lot of these lessons that you learn from these videos can be applied to life drawings. Essentially what I teach you is how to break an image down into shapes and how to match tones. And you can take these lessons and you can apply it to drawing in real life. Remember, if you finish this, I want you to post it as a video response or post it to my Facebook page. You will hear from me. Sometimes it takes a while, but I love to see those. So hopefully this video has helped you, and I suppose if it has, please hit the like button and please share it. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.